last year that, Sarita, you made this big speech and we all got really emotional and hugged the Year 12s all day, and then when we came back in term 4, they were still there. Very awkward. So, try to avoid any awkwardness for next term, because God forbid we don't want that. This is the end of the VCE certificate for all of these students. They have achieved their VCE today. Some of them are returning for external exams in term 4, and so they'll be here for revision and to do those exams. But every single one of these young people has got their VCE certificate today. They've done it. It is a huge thing. The VCE is hard. It is tiring. And as you could see from hearing them talking this morning, a lot of them are very tired and overwhelmed with the experience. And that's because it is, by its nature, challenging. That said, they are all here. They've all done it. They haven't caved, and it's a massive achievement. We often talk about there being very few rites of passages available for young people today. That teenagehood can be this kind of extended limbo period where you maybe don't have the sort of care and innocence that you do when you're a young child, or the freedom that you get as an adult. But the VCE is one of those few remaining rites of passages. And in that sense, it isn't a walk in the park. It isn't something that you can ride off on a Sunday afternoon. It is something that takes real grit and real determination. It doesn't just measure content knowledge in particular subject areas. It requires you to be able to structure your time and to be able to balance your goals, which might be quite large and long term, with what your body on a physical and an emotional level feels that it might need at a given moment. It requires being able to communicate with each other, with your teachers, with your parents, and really with yourself. So these skills are really adult skills that the VCE is testing, not just how well you can sit a further maths or an OES exam, for instance. So in that sense, it is enormous. I said this morning that I do feel quite emotional on that day, on the last day of term 3, and this day is absolutely no exception, and you all look fabulous. And it is the last day that we will have every single one of the individuals in this room, in this space together, for the year, and really for forever. And in that sense, today is a big day in the year. These young people are an extraordinary group of people. There are 10 of them. So in that way, they're the smallest class in the school. But when I look at you, they are such pronounced individuals. They really, for a small group, represent just about every background, political persuasion, worldview that I think is possible to have in a small group. And that does not come without challenges. But what I've seen in you, and what I really admire about you as a group, is that you've been able to make all sorts of connections across those divides. Sometimes when the divide has felt too great, you've still been able to work together. You've still been able to learn productively together. And so in that sense, I think, as a school, we've got a lot to learn from you, but you also form a pretty great blueprint for the world as far as I'm concerned, and your ability to connect in that way. These guys are probably not the most extroverted group in the school, in all cases, but again, I think that comes with quite a deep intelligence and thoughtfulness, and again, a real quiet grit that those of you close to them will know that they possess. And I will say that, I hope I'm not embarrassing you by saying this, that many of these young people have really come up against significant challenges before getting to this point. That you've faced physical illnesses, family problems, personal problems, health issues, issues that make it more difficult for you to learn in certain ways. All of these things these young people have come up against. And I will say, if you feel that you're a bit daunted by the prospect of the VCE and being able to reconcile these challenges with achieving something like this, please try and keep in contact with these young people, because they have a lot to teach you and a lot to share about how to overcome challenges to achieve something pretty great. So I would say this has been fought for all of you, and I'm so impressed to see all of you standing up here today, having achieved what you've achieved. We're immensely proud of you. It is worth just taking a moment, and I might get you to do so now, just to look around and appreciate that this is us for the last day altogether for this year. And I do just want to thank all of you, really, because I feel like the school has really come into its own in a big way this year. I was reflecting on the first couple of years when I felt like the staff put a lot of energy into helping you guys relate well and care for people and how to navigate difficulties and how to look after visitors and new people that come to the school. And I've been quite conscious this year that I feel like I do that a lot less. And that's in large part because you guys have taken that and run with it in a way that I could actually only dream of. And every single one of you works to build the culture that we have here every single day. I'm reminded of that as I often tell you every time a student trials at the school and tells me at the end of the day that people were so kind to them. I was even reminded of that the other day by the technician who's implementing our new learning management system at the school. I can't believe this is a school. Which again, that's sometimes when we're in it every day we don't see it. So Year 9s, I want to wish you bon voyage, and Year 12s, I just want to thank you for the work that you've done to make this school what it is, and wish you all the best in the future.
Sheet because I'm nervous and overwhelmed, so I want it to sound exactly how I hoped it would sound in my head. I'm up here to announce the award winners for the 2018 year. So here we go. I am very proud to be the person acknowledging the efforts of the wonderful humans on the stage with me. All of these people have shone in many different ways and in different scenarios this year. But I don't want to do that trite thing and say you're all winners to me, because I feel that's a little bit sappy and a bit too sentimental. But also what I feel is true, and Sarah's already touched on this, is that all of you have struggled, all of you have worked so hard, and all of you have been wonderful, warm, funny, fun human beings. You've brought an invaluable energy to the school, and I'll miss you all terribly. Okay. Oh my goodness, okay. Alright. I wanted to give an overview of why we acknowledge and award things the way that we do here at Alice, because it's intimately connected to the way we aim to educate young people in our care. It's part of the culture we're trying to cultivate as we continue to grow, and it's hugely necessary for all of you as future school leaders to hear. So as a classroom teacher, my goal is to share the love of what I teach with students in my classroom. I want to challenge them and expand them academically and open space for them to dive into the knowledge with gusto. But generally, as a teacher, the goal is much bigger. Academic knowledge is a part of a truly rich education. It's a valuable part, but not the only part. A rich education is one that aims to cultivate wisdom. It gives students the chance to develop as a whole person, to actively think about the content of their character and craft it into something fine. And that, in a nutshell, is what drives the philosophy at Alice Miller. To educate for wisdom and to value the qualities that make a person one of worthy character. So that's why that we award more than academic excellence at Alice. We want to acknowledge students who've taken on the challenge of cultivating their character via avenues that complement and support their academic learning and embody the philosophy of the school. We do acknowledge the discipline, dedication and sheer hard work that it takes to achieve outstanding results in academic studies, and that's our first award that I'm going to announce. It's given to the student or students who've consistently demonstrated excellence across the breadth of their studies. And this year it was neck and neck, so we're actually acknowledging 2 students who have fairly different focuses in their studies, but were literally neck and neck with their results. And this year it was Dante. Congratulations. I should preface this by saying that the award at this point is a hug. We'll be giving certificates out at graduation. The second person who we're celebrating as an academic award winner today is Ned. If you want amazing role models for how to conduct yourself effectively as a student in BC, there's 2 students that have completely embodied that, and they've both worked tirelessly over the last 2 years. Ned's already threatening to bombard me with emails over the holidays. The next award that we're going to hand out is, we've called it the True Grit Award. This award is about recognising a student who has the quality that allows them just to dig in and get things done, particularly when things are not coming easy. It celebrates a person who stayed focused and dedicated, even when school life has challenged them and when life has challenged them broadly. It acknowledges a person who has a clear goal and a direction and doesn't let themselves be swayed from that goal. And that plays out in lots of different scenarios. This year I'm incredibly proud to announce that the recipient is Sasha. I don't know how many people know this, but Sasha is so devoted to developing her art that she's actually fast-tracked her VCE, and she's finishing 12 months earlier than she would have otherwise, because she was so determined to get through and get into it. And that has not been a straightforward or easy process for her. She's worked incredibly hard for it, so top job. Now I have to figure out my origami. So, Sasha exemplifies the ability to stay focused, keep going, whatever comes your way. On to the next one. So, another part of being a good person is just straightforwardly being a kind person. And kindness driven by compassion is the best sort. It acknowledges and considers the impact we have on others and our capacity to be a good friend, a supportive family member and a positive influence in the community as a whole. So for this reason, we give an altruism award every year. Altruism is the capacity to be selfless in your concern for and your support of the well-being of others. This year, we'd like to acknowledge Cole as the most admirable example of this quality. Cole is a kind, gentle and constant friend who's consistently shown his capacity for humble compassion and genuine kindness. And now we come to the lucky last. So, the final award that we have, we've called the Alice Miller Award. And really it's an acknowledgement of a student that embodies all of the qualities that the other awards entail. The write-up on the certificate is that it's the award for the student who is brave and open, dedicated, adventurous and kind. And this year we felt that Dante was the student that personified those qualities. Dante is a terrific and been an integral part of Alice Miller as it's grown into itself. So, we're at the end, thank goodness. As a school, we're so incredibly fortunate to have such a fabulous group of young people as role models. Every year level brings something essential to the school, and every group of graduating students will leave a very different legacy. That's how it should be. This year, your legacy is a sense of integrity, dedication and humour, and it's laid a beautiful foundation for the classes of 2019. You're a pack of dead set legends. Thank you.
I thought I should say something. I've been at Canterbury and Alice Miller for about 10 years now, and I'm so blessed to have spent those 10 years at such an incredible school. So I'd like to thank, first of all, Sarita and John for allowing me to be here for so long, and yeah, I'm so grateful. So thank you. A massive thank you to Sky and Hartley for organising all of the VC stuff and dealing with all of our emotions, and thank you so much. And thank you to Scott for your endless amount of wisdom. Tina for your love and organisation. And for your constant support and motivation. Bob for making me laugh every day and giving me the best advice ever. And to Amy for sharing your passion for nature and just so much love to me. So thank you. As well as all of the Canterbury teachers who came before, who did so much. And lastly, thank you to all of you for making the vibe at Alice Miller so special and beautiful. So thank you so much.
Well, for me, and pretty much all other kids here, it's been a pretty big 2 years of our lives, and I don't think any of us would have rather spent it anywhere else. Staff here are incredible, and to be honest, it actually was a bit weird to call them staff, because really they're more, and they're just friends. And speaking for myself, I can say that if it wasn't for all the teachers here, I probably still wouldn't be in school, and I definitely wouldn't be as happy as I am now. I'm pretty sure everyone here can say exactly the same. So on behalf of Year 12, we'd like to all say thank you. And from me personally, I can trust that all teachers here have a cold one in the line for me.